My name is Kezia Bennett, but most people just call me Kaz. 3 years ago, my entire world came crashing down in the luxurious living room of our sprawling mansion in Greenwich, Connecticut. I had been married to Xavier St. Clair for 4 beautiful yet increasingly painful years. He came from old New England money mixed with a booming tech empire. His mother, Eleanor St. Clair, ran the family like a tight corporation. I was the supportive wife who had stepped back from her own marketing career to build a home with him. I hosted elegant dinners, managed the household, and loved him with every piece of my heart. But after 3 years of marriage, the pressure became unbearable. It started with subtle hints at family brunches. "Any good news yet, dear?" Eleanor would ask, her eyes always drifting to my stomach. Then came the endless doctor visits, fertility tests, and heartbreaking negatives. The diagnosis was unexplained infertility. My body simply wasn't cooperating. Xavier was supportive at first. He held my hand, whispered that we would get through it together. But Eleanor's influence grew stronger with every passing month. One cold autumn evening, she arrived without warning and sat across from us like a judge delivering a verdict. "Xavier, the family needs an heir. The board is starting to ask questions. We cannot continue like this. Keziah is a sweet girl, but some women simply aren't built for motherhood. We found a more suitable match, a young woman from a strong Boston family with proven fertility." I stood frozen in the doorway, still wearing the expensive sweater Xavier had gifted me. I waited for my husband to speak up, to defend our love, to tell his mother she had crossed a line. He stayed silent. That same night, after Eleanor left, Xavier turned to me with tired eyes. "Kaz, this isn't working. I need children. I need a legacy. The lawyers will handle everything. You'll be financially comfortable, but I have to move on." I begged. I cried. I reminded him of our vows, in sickness and in health, for better or worse. He simply shook his head. "This feels like worse, Kaz. I'm sorry." By the next evening, security was escorting me out with 2 suitcases. The heavy gates of the mansion closed behind me with a final cold click. No tears from him, no second chances. I returned to my quiet hometown in upstate New York, moved into my late parents' modest house, and tried to piece my life back together. I took a job at a small digital marketing agency and worked late into the nights just to exhaust myself so I wouldn't cry myself to sleep. 2 months after the divorce papers were signed, I started feeling constantly nauseous. At first, I blamed stress and grief. My periods had always been irregular, so I didn't suspect anything until I finally bought a pregnancy test. 2 bold pink lines appeared. I took 4 more tests, all positive. I rushed to the doctor the next morning. The ultrasound technician smiled softly and turned the screen toward me. "Congratulations, you're having twins." I burst into tears right there on the table, I had been pregnant the day Xavier threw me out. The stress and fertility treatments had hidden the early signs. The doctors had missed it in all the chaos. In that moment, staring at the two tiny heartbeats, I made a firm decision. I would not tell Xavier, not yet. He had discarded me because he believed I was broken and useless. These babies were mine now. I would raise them with unconditional love, far away from his conditional world of bloodlines and boardroom expectations. The next 3 years were incredibly difficult, but deeply rewarding. I worked during the day and built my own freelance digital marketing business at night. I learned SEO, branding, social media strategy, and client management. Slowly, small clients turned into bigger ones. I saved every extra penny for my children. On a snowy January night, I gave birth to Kenzo and Kalia. Kenzo came first, strong and loud, with his father's dark hair and jawline. Kalia followed minutes later, calm and curious, with my smile and eyes. They were perfect. Every time I looked at them, I saw traces of Xavier, but I pushed the pain aside. To the twins, their father was simply with the angels for now. I wanted to shield them from rejection as long as possible. By the time the twins turned 3, my little agency had grown significantly. I had secured contracts with several promising tech startups in New York. I was no longer the discarded wife. I was Keziah Bennett, independent, successful, and raising 2 bright, happy children. Then the invitation arrived. The St. Clair Foundation was hosting its annual high-profile charity gala in Manhattan. My firm had been invited to sponsor a table and manage the event's digital presence and social media. It was a major opportunity for my business. I almost declined. But something deep inside me, that quiet strength I had built through sleepless nights and lonely days, told me to go. I dressed carefully that evening. A sleek black gown that flattered my post-twin figure, elegant hair, and diamond studs I had bought with my own earnings. Kenzo and Kalia stayed happily with a trusted nanny at the hotel. I wasn't ready for them to step into that world yet. The ballroom sparkled with crystal chandeliers, designer gowns, and the soft murmur of wealth and power. I spotted Eleanor immediately, still regal and icy. Then I saw Xavier. He looked sharper in his tailored tuxedo, but new lines of stress marked his face. Beside him stood his new wife, Lydia, very visibly pregnant. She glowed with the kind of confidence that comes from feeling chosen. Eleanor noticed me first. Her eyes widened, then narrowed with recognition and disdain. "Kezia," she said with fake sweetness, approaching me. "How surprising to see you here. Still no ring on your finger, I see. Some women simply aren't destined for family life." Xavier turned. When our eyes met, the color drained from his face. "Kaz, what are you doing here?" I smiled calmly. "Working. My company is handling the digital side tonight. Congratulations on the pregnancy, Lydia." The evening continued. I networked professionally, posted engaging content that made the gala look even more luxurious. But I could feel Xavier's gaze following me everywhere. During the dessert course, Eleanor gave a grand speech about family legacy, bloodlines, and the importance of heirs. The room applauded politely. That was my moment. I walked straight to their table, where Xavier, Lydia, Eleanor, and several board members were seated. I placed 2 items gently on the crisp white tablecloth, an old ultrasound photo showing 2 tiny heartbeats and a recent DNA test report. "Mrs. St. Clair," I said clearly, my voice steady, "you spoke so beautifully about legacy tonight. I thought you might like to know the truth." Everyone at the table leaned in. "These are Kenzo and Kalia," I continued, "your biological grandchildren, Xavier. The twins you threw away, along with their mother, because you and your family decided I was useless and couldn't give you children." Gasps rippled around the table. Eleanor's hand flew to her chest. Xavier stared at the papers, his hands beginning to tremble. "They're mine?" "Yes," I replied. "I was already pregnant the day you had me removed from our home. The stress hid everything. I chose to raise them alone rather than beg a man who didn't want me." Lydia's face went pale. Her hand dropped from her swollen belly. Then I delivered the part no one saw coming, the real secret. I leaned forward slightly and spoke loud enough for the nearby tables to hear clearly. "And one more thing, Xavier. The infertility issue was never mine. The final specialist reviewed all our old records. The low sperm count and poor motility, it was you. I never told you back then because I loved you and didn't want to wound your pride, but you chose to blame and abandon me anyway." Dead silence fell over the table. Eleanor looked as if she might faint. Board members shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Lydia stood up suddenly and walked away without saying a word, tears already forming in her eyes. Xavier looked completely shattered. "Kalia, I had no idea. My God, what have I done to us?" I straightened my posture and smoothed my gown. "You made your choice 3 years ago when you chose your mother's approval over our marriage. I made mine to build a life full of love for our children. They carry your blood, but they will never be raised around people who discard family when it becomes inconvenient." I turned to leave, then paused for one final line. "By the way, my company just signed a major contract with your biggest competitor. Enjoy the rest of your gala." As I walked out of the ballroom, whispers and shocked conversations erupted behind me. Later that night, back at the hotel, I held Kenzo and Kalia close while they slept peacefully. Their innocent faces gave me all the strength I needed. In the weeks that followed, Xavier tried desperately to reach out. Flowers, messages, even legal letters about visitation rights. Eleanor sent formal apologies and offers of money through lawyers. I refused everything. Some betrayals cut too deep to repair with gifts or tears. I didn't need revenge to feel complete. Raising 2 strong, loved children while building a successful business on my own was the greatest victory. But the look of utter shock and regret on their faces that night, realizing the broken wife they had thrown away had carried the very heirs they desperately wanted, that moment was priceless. The secret no one expected wasn't just the twins. It was that the woman they tried to break had become unbreakable, and she was finally done staying silent.